Today's First Alert afternoon weather update is brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.
Hey there, Mid-Michigan. Well, we do have a lot to talk about in our First Alert forecast update for this Tuesday afternoon. So as we have gone through today so far, we've had quite a bit of rain here across Mid-Michigan. After the rain today, we are going to be tracking not only some snow showers, but we also have quite a bit of wind on the way in the forecast, and we also do have some cooling temperatures as we go into tomorrow and the remainder of the week. So the 40s that we have out there now, these mid 40s, essentially are going to be some of our last 40s that we see for a little while here, at the very least through the weekend or even through early next week. But I'm First Alert meteorologist Matthew Mondro here, bringing you this First Alert forecast update. Again, certainly a lot to talk about as we progress through this Thanksgiving week. So let's go ahead and take a look at the radar here. We have had a decent amount of rain moving through, especially this rain started to pick up during the late morning and right around lunchtime here. It's definitely pretty damp out there currently. So there's a live look at that First Alert pinpoint Doppler. You see even a bit of a moderate rain falling between Pinconning and Standish right now, also up in the direction of Twining and Whittemore. We do have a lighter rain though towards the central thumb, and actually around Flint there's been a little bit of a clearing there as of right now. We have been seeing throughout our area certainly some wet conditions. Here's a live look, as a matter of fact, at downtown Saginaw. This is live from the Dow. You can see there in downtown Saginaw, though, pretty damp. We aren't tracking ice for today, so that is the good news because of these temperatures that are currently still above freezing for us by quite a bit. CMU's campus in Mount Pleasant showing that too. There's downtown Flint, so still damp, but at least we have had that rainfall at least actively coming to an end there for a little bit. Still think you could be clipped by another shower or two towards the end of the upcoming 1 o'clock hour, but after that, most of your rainfall should be winding down quite a bit. So that is going to be the story here for the remainder of today, is the fact that once these rain showers head out of our area, we actually do catch a little bit of a break as we go into tonight. But tomorrow morning, with that strong cold front coming through, that definitely is going to be the turning point for all of our weather conditions for this week. So there's a live look at our First Alert hour by hour. This is one of the most recent runs of the First Alert hour by hour that we have. It shows that rainfall moving through here, and even by 3 this afternoon, notice that it does have the majority of it out of our area. Even by about 6 o'clock this evening, other than a couple of stray showers lingering near Port Austin or Caseville, at least in that direction on the shoreline. Outside of that, most of us should be done with the rain, but our roadways are still going to stay somewhat damp even as we go into this evening. But here we are fast forwarding even into the middle of tonight. That's at midnight or even 1 o'clock. We just have the overcast sky holding on, so we're still catching a nice break from all of that rainfall. I'll go ahead and advance our hour by hour forward a little bit more, and you see those rain showers, just a very brief period of rain showers early in the morning tomorrow, about 5 or 6 o'clock. That'll be moving through just ahead of the cold front, and it is that cold front that has been again, the big story of the forecast for this week. That's where we see a lot of these conditions changing around. So not only does the cold front take the rain out of here, but it brings the snow showers in, and it also brings that wind in with it as well. Now, speaking of that wind, some of those wind gusts are expected to reach up to about 35 to 45 miles per hour. It's going to be pretty impressive, actually, with that wind for tomorrow and Thanksgiving Day. The directions, importantly, are southwesterly tomorrow, then a northwest wind on Thursday. If you do have any travel to do for the Thanksgiving holiday, really the wind, I think, is going to be one of the major impacts that you'll see on those roads, especially if you're driving a larger vehicle, or even if you're towing a camper trailer, for example, too. You'll definitely be feeling that wind, whether it is tomorrow or Thursday. By Friday, wind gusts will be closer to about 25 miles per hour, and then similar wind gusts too at about 20 to 25 as we go into the upcoming weekend. But this wind here, combined with any of the lake effect snow showers that we're expecting, especially by Thanksgiving Day, that does mean the possibility for some snow squalls as well. Now that chance is much more isolated for the TV5 viewing area. It's really going to be our lake effect belts up north, where we usually see that lake effect where a few of those squalls are possible. But I do just want to give you a word of caution if you are going to be traveling out of the TV5 viewing area, especially to West Michigan or in the direction of Traverse City or Gaylord, for example, you are going to encounter even more snow showers and some snowy roads in those areas as well. So we have been tracking also a chance of snow for the upcoming weekend, and I know that's something that's also been starting to get a little more attention online too. Certainly is a possibility for the upcoming weekend. In fact, this morning we've seen that potential for the weekend snow going up just a little bit more as well. So I'll show you the hour by hour for our lake effect that's coming up, and we'll also talk more again about that weekend snowfall too here in just a bit, but we are going to just take a break here real quick. Alrighty, welcome back from that break. So we are going to talk more about the lake effect that we're expecting for the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday, and then also some potential for some more snow as we go into the upcoming weekend. So I'll take you back to our graphic here real quick, because I know there's all this talk of snow for Thanksgiving. I just don't want us to forget about the wind as well. The wind is going to be very important as we go into tomorrow and Thursday. Southwest wind tomorrow, gusts up to about 35 to 45 miles per hour. And then those gusts at the same speed, but from the northwest as we go into Thanksgiving Day. So here's a look at the winter weather alerts map. So we have a winter storm watch for Roscommon and Clare counties. That watch is in place from tomorrow afternoon to Friday morning. This is actually part of a larger watch across much of northwest Michigan. So you see that extends all the way up towards Traverse City and even up the shoreline there in the direction of Charlevoix as well. That is just one thing to keep in mind, again, for Thanksgiving travel. If you'll be seeing family in any of these areas highlighted in blue, so Traverse City or Charlevoix, Grayling, Gaylord, or even around Cadillac, you could experience some heavier lake effect snowfall, some squalls in those areas, but with that wind, some of those squalls could be pushed far enough inland to the point where they do come in towards Clare and Roscommon counties. So that is why those two counties were added to the watch earlier this morning. So as we go into Thanksgiving, especially, again, if you're traveling to West Michigan or Northern Michigan, that's where you could see some of those heavier snow showers, some slick travel. And one thing to keep in mind with snow squalls too is that they rapidly reduce visibility. So that's where you could be driving on the freeway, and then one of those squalls picks up because of the wind, and it's pretty much whiteout conditions where visibilities just drop almost instantly, and then it could clear up again in just a couple of minutes, but then a few minutes after that, the same thing happens again. So that is one of the things that we do just want to make you aware of if you will be traveling, especially by Thanksgiving Day, with some of those squalls that could be coming in from the northwest. And then again, a word on that weekend system, which we will show you more on that here too. The weekend system, still a possibility Saturday into Sunday, but you can see here, we're just first alerting you to quite an active forecast for the remainder of this Thanksgiving week. So even though we've had the rainfall today, the rain is actually still somewhat tame compared to what we're expecting for the remainder of the week here. And also another word on that weekend snow potential too. If everything with that holds on like we are currently seeing it, it could very well be a first alert weather day worthy snowfall as well. So that is also something that we are going to be considering if everything still holds on like we're currently seeing it. So I'll take you through that first alert hour by hour for tomorrow first. So again, this is this lake effect tomorrow and Thursday, completely separate from that weekend system. But tomorrow at about 5 or 6 in the morning, as you're heading out the door, if you still do have to work tomorrow, you will be encountering a little bit of rain for that morning commute. But a pretty brief window of this for only about an hour or two. Cold front moves through right behind it, so the front should be out of here by about 8 in the morning tomorrow. So the rest of the day we have just steadily falling temperatures, and then this is where we see, with those cooling temps, the snow showers starting to take over too. So this is about 10 to 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. The lake effect mostly on the west side of the state, but a few snow showers coming in towards Harrison, Clare, Mount Pleasant, and Elma. And then into the afternoon, we will see that snow starting to reach a little bit farther east across the lower peninsula. And a lot of that is just due to that strong wind. So the wind strong enough that it's really able to move some of these snow showers farther inland than we would normally see them when we would have, say, just more of your standard 15 or 20 mile per hour wind. Again, those gusts 35 to 45 miles per hour tomorrow. Now, these snow showers will continue as we go into the evening. This is at about 8 in the evening tomorrow. One area I do want to point out as well is the Northern Thumb. That is definitely a spot where in the Northern Thumb you could still very well see some snow showers moving through there, especially late in the day tomorrow and as we go into tomorrow night. And then some of those snow showers also still could continue into Thanksgiving Day. And that's also just an indicator of that wind that we're going to have tomorrow and Thursday. It's so strong that some of those snow showers are actually coming from Lake Michigan, going all the way across the lower peninsula, even across the Saginaw Bay, and then into the Northern Thumb around Huron County. Now, as we go into Thursday morning, you notice here the lake effect pattern still, again, continuing for us. It will be a bit of a broken record with that for about 36 hours or so from tomorrow afternoon all the way into Thursday night. With that snowfall coming in, though, it is really going to target some of those northern spots like Houghton Lake, St. Helen, West Branch, or even around Whittemore or Hale, and then again, Huron County specifically as well. And that pattern still just continues on throughout the daytime on Thursday. So here's a look at your first alert snow predictor here. This is by the end of the day tomorrow, about 10 p.m. Really just a dusting for most of our area. So if you do have Thanksgiving travel for tomorrow, I do want you to know that while it will be windy, at least for the TV5 viewing area specifically, there really won't be much of an impact snowfall-wise for tomorrow. Because again, by the end of the day, we're only talking a dusting of snow. If you have travel on Thanksgiving Day itself, that's where I do think you will end up seeing more of those roadway impacts due to the snowfall, especially if you're up north. So I'll take you back to the snow predictor here again. We'll fast forward to 8 in the morning on Thursday. So you notice this here, waking up to some fresh snowfall up north, Houghton Lake, West Branch, St. Helens, some of those areas around Roscommon County or near Roscommon County, likely up to about 3 or 4 inches of snow on Thursday morning or by Thursday morning. But again, notice how it is pretty localized to those spots. So if you move south to Midland, only 3/10 of an inch there, about 1/4 of an inch of snow. So that's pretty much just a light coating around Saginaw or Flint. So those areas in the Bay region and Flint certainly seeing much less snow compared to our areas right at the northern edge of the TV5 viewing area. And then we'll fast forward to the end of the day on Thursday. This is about 7 to 8 o'clock in the evening. So notice that with the lake effect, those snow totals continue to add up a bit more for our northwestern spots like Houghton Lake and West Branch. But even in Huron County, some of that blue shading there, that indicates 2-inch snow totals. And so that's what I was mentioning with the lake effect actually extending not only through the lower peninsula, but across the bay and into Huron County, is that even by the end of the day on Thanksgiving, some of our folks in Ubly or Bad Axe or Port Hope or even around Port Austin, you could very well have 2 fresh inches of snowfall on the ground, which I know isn't really a lot of snow by mid-Michigan standards, but compared to the remainder of the TV5 viewing area, compared to a place like Midland or Flint, it'll certainly be much more. In some areas, at least enough where you may need to get the shovel out and shovel off the deck if you'll be there in Huron County. As we go towards the weekend, now this weekend system, this is the one that we have been talking about in the forecast here too, and I'll actually pull up a different graphic for you, and then we'll play through the hour by hour. So this right here on your screen, this is Saturday evening modeled by the GFS, essentially the American model, and then the Euro model. And you notice here how both of these are picking up on that snowfall. And one of the key differences here compared to yesterday is the fact that the GFS model was still completely dry by Saturday evening. As of this morning, when I came into work here this morning and we started to have our brand new model runs from the GFS, it started to really line up with what the Euro was showing, as well as a few other models that we use as well. So really what this is indicating, even though we're still nearly about 5 or 6 days out from that potential weekend snow, is the fact that more models are starting to align together, and they are looking exactly like that. I'll show you that again, GFS and the Euro, just an example here of what they are showing currently for Saturday evening. So more of our data is starting to align and look just like that. Even though it's a bit early for exact timing, it does look like Saturday morning should still be pretty quiet for us. It'd be during the second half of the day where we start to see that snow picking up, and then that would carry on into Saturday night. So I'll play you through the first alert hour by hour, and this is with the GFS loaded in. And we'll fast forward all the way over to Friday. So there we are by Friday evening. This is about 5 or 6 in the evening. Notice that even the lake effect has been dialing down as well. So what we're expecting for tomorrow and Thursday, by the time we get into Friday, most of that lake effect should be winding down. But here we are going into Saturday. So you see all that snow building up to the west of us. That's from that low that's coming out of the Great Plains. And as we go into the afternoon, you see the snow starting to move into mid-Michigan, and it's still here even as we go into the middle of the night. That's 4 a.m. on Sunday. Pretty clear rain and snow line just to the south of us in northern Indiana and Ohio. But this is what a lot of our data is starting to look like in regard to that weekend system. One thing I'll point out here too, by the time we get into Sunday, temps should hover right around freezing on Sunday. So I think there is some possibility, especially say near Flint, where you could see just a little bit of cold rain trying to mix in towards the end of the day on Sunday once that low starts to leave our area. But I still think the majority, if not all of us, are still just going to flat out see snowfall with that weekend system. But again, that is if everything still holds on track with what we're currently seeing with that system. I'll take you over to the Euro, and you'll see here as we play through the Euro, first I'll get it over to Friday. Really doesn't look too much different than the GFS, still on the same thinking. Here we are into Saturday morning. You have all the snow building up to the west of us, eventually moves in during the afternoon and the evening, and that snow is here on a pretty widespread basis all the way through Saturday night, and then even into Sunday morning. By Sunday evening, we're starting to see that system leaving our area. So at least from a forecasting standpoint, it's definitely good to see more of these models starting to align with one another. As they come into more agreement, that just also allows us to have a bit more confidence in this forecast. But as we go even into Friday, we should have that storm system starting to develop in the Great Plains. So as long as we see that system developing in the Great Plains on Friday afternoon, I think that definitely for sure would bode well for us in regard to snowfall, especially if you are hoping for some snow. If you run a snowplow company, certainly this weekend I think might be your first real possibility of getting out there to do some snow clearing. And just from a snowmobiler myself too, it's always exciting to see snow in the forecast, but safety is of utmost importance as well. So for those of you who might even be traveling this upcoming weekend, say coming back home from your Thanksgiving holiday, I do think we could have some road issues if this weekend snow does hold on. And that is why I did mention we are at least considering a first alert weather day for the weekend, especially if this forecast continues to hold pretty steady like this. So it's definitely turning much more wintry in our forecast here with these snow shower chances and with our temperatures too. I'll go ahead and bring up that 7-day forecast once that loads up. There we go. First alert 7-day forecast does stay cold into the weekend and even early next week. The long-term pattern does suggest that the 30s should hang around well into next week. So after the 40s today, that 45 for tomorrow is a little bit deceiving. That's why we put that arrow next to it, that downward arrow. That 45 is pretty much going to be right at the start of the day. when that cold front comes in, and then behind the front will just be cooling down. So 39 by about noon tomorrow, then 35 by sunset tomorrow evening. So then 35 for the high on Thanksgiving Day, but with the wind factored in, it'll feel like the 20s, should feel like the 20s pretty much all day on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then possibly even into Monday. So definitely a much more wintry looking forecast as we go forward from here. So as we go throughout the remainder of the week, we'll definitely keep you updated on that weekend snow chance, and we'll keep you updated if anything else happens to develop with this lake effect that we're expecting for tomorrow and for Thursday. But as always, we just urge caution for your Thanksgiving travels, and especially if you'll be going north out of our area or west out of our area on Thanksgiving Day, I would expect some slower travel. So just be sure to use some patience as we go into the holiday. We want you to be able to get to where you're going to safely, especially with the winds and with some of these snow showers picking up. Chief Meteorologist Chris Easlick will be here for our full slate of evening newscasts coming up at 4, 5, 5:30, and 6 o'clock right on TV5 on air. He'll also be right here on our digital live stream at 9 o'clock this evening. He should have another updated model run by then, so he'll also be able to show you more updates in regard to that weekend snowfall chance as well. In the meantime, we wish you a great afternoon. Stay dry out there with the rain. And if your Thanksgiving travels take you on the road today, we wish you a happy Thanksgiving as well.